Here's something that might explain why your friend lost 20 pounds on intermittent fasting while you struggled and saw minimal results. It's called metabolic flexibility, and it's probably the most underappreciated factor in predicting who will succeed with time-restricted eating protocols. If you've never heard this term before, understanding it might completely change how you approach not just intermittent fasting, but diet in general. Metabolic flexibility refers to your body's ability to efficiently switch between burning carbohydrates and burning fat, depending on what's available. Think of it like being bilingual versus only speaking one language. A metabolically flexible person can easily shift from glucose metabolism when food is abundant to fat metabolism during fasting periods. Someone with poor metabolic flexibility, often due to insulin resistance, gets stuck primarily burning glucose and struggles mightily when fasting because their body can't efficiently access stored fat for energy. This is why intermittent fasting feels completely different for different people. If you're already metabolically flexible, fasting periods might feel relatively easy. Your body smoothly transitions to burning fat, your energy stays stable, hunger is manageable. But if you have insulin resistance and poor metabolic flexibility, fasting feels absolutely terrible. You experience crushing hunger, brain fog, irritability, and intense cravings because your body is desperately trying to get glucose, but can't efficiently tap into your abundant fat stores. You're metabolically inflexible, stuck in one fuel mode. Years of high-carbohydrate diets, especially refined carbohydrates and frequent snacking, can impair metabolic flexibility. Your body gets so accustomed to constant glucose availability that the machinery for efficient fat oxidation becomes rusty. Insulin levels stay chronically elevated, blocking fat burning. Mitochondria, your cellular energy factories, become less adept at processing fats. You've essentially trained your metabolism to be a carb-burning specialist that panics when carbs aren't immediately available. This has huge implications for who should try intermittent fasting and how they should approach it. If you have significant insulin resistance, jumping straight into aggressive fasting is likely to be miserable and unsustainable. You might need to first improve your metabolic flexibility through other interventions, reducing refined carbohydrates, increasing dietary fat, incorporating moderate exercise, possibly following a lower-carb approach for several weeks to upregulate your fat-burning machinery. Think of it as metabolic training before you start fasting. There are ways to assess your metabolic flexibility. If you can comfortably go 4 to 6 hours between meals without intense hunger or energy crashes, you probably have reasonable metabolic flexibility. If you need to eat every 2 hours or you get shaky, irritable, and foggy-headed quickly when meals are delayed, that's a sign of poor metabolic flexibility. Certain blood tests can help too: fasting insulin levels, glucose tolerance, markers of insulin resistance like the HOMA-IR calculation. Here's the good news: metabolic flexibility can be improved. It's not permanent. Strategies include reducing eating frequency even before formal fasting, lowering refined carbohydrate intake, increasing protein and healthy fats, timing exercise when you're in a fasted state to train fat oxidation, getting adequate sleep, which affects insulin sensitivity, managing stress, which elevates cortisol and impairs metabolism. These interventions can gradually restore your metabolic flexibility over weeks to months. The practical takeaway is this: if you've struggled with intermittent fasting, it might not be a failure of willpower. It might be that your metabolic flexibility isn't adequate for the approach to feel sustainable. Rather than forcing yourself through miserable fasting periods, consider first working on improving your metabolic foundation. Adopt a lower glycemic diet, reduce snacking frequency gradually, incorporate some light fasted exercise, give your metabolism time to adapt. Once you've built metabolic flexibility, intermittent fasting might feel completely different, almost easy. Or you might discover that once you're metabolically flexible, you don't even need aggressive fasting to achieve your goals. The flexibility itself provides many of the benefits people seek from fasting protocols.